Today I'm going to show 10 games that I played against the same opponent. And of course, we're going to go quickly through the games. We don't have time to analyze each of them. But it's important to show overall how a player who is probably in the 1500 range, how this player just basically self-destroy every game. And it also shows it's very inconsistent play. So let's get on with the first game. Player Sicilian, and already he has to play back. I mean, this is extraordinary. So the queen is out, the knight is out, pieces are coming out, a hole is now created on d5, and he is behind on development. He keeps making moves that are not developing his pieces. So now castling is completed, all the development is completed, and he's got two pieces on the back rank yet to move. And he does exchanges, and now inexplicably he goes back on the. This is a move. It's very hard to explain. He's not threatening f5 here. He's basically doing nothing, just making a rush move. And now, of course, the tactics start, and they favor white, as you would expect. Here, f4. There were different ways of doing the same thing. He goes here, takes, and now instead of taking here with check, he got scared of the check on the back rank, which is made, and decided to swap the queens, but he didn't calculate the variation properly. And now just that, instead of taking on a7, which kind of works, because if he traps the bishop, this pawn runs. And he plays this and falls for simple tactics. So we have a look at the second game. In the second game, so he's sort of neglected the center by pushing those two pawns here and letting me establish a very strong center. He keeps making the same mistakes of moving a piece twice in the opening, and then he goes after a check that's basically a nothing check. He loses his pair of bishops that way, and then it allows a nice, comfortable development. And he loves putting pieces on the back rank, doesn't he? And here he is again. So we centralize the queen. And now we're just attacking, and he makes a tactical blunder, which enables me to just win the rook in the corner. He's got no hope of defending, of catching my trapping my knight. I've got checks here with the rook. He's done. He's completely done. In the next game, I was white. It went like this. That's a short and sweet game because he overlooks a very simple opening trap that's common in several openings. He goes like this, and you simply take here, bishop takes, and game over. In the fourth game, you see those moves like h3 are completely useless, very difficult to justify it in this current position. So basically it gives a tempo to black. So the pawn was on because he's not really pinning, because I've got c6 behind that defends the knight, and then of course there are threats of dropping back here and capturing the bishop with the knight, and so he keeps on going. So he's a pawn down. He comes in here hoping it's going to be Christmas. He thinks he's got a kingside attack. He's got absolutely nothing. Just trade pieces, and then take whatever he gives me. Bishop drop back to defend f5, and he move his rook. I just take and come back again. It's like Christmas has come. Here I play opposite color bishops because he's got so many pawns down. He's not going to survive this. His bishop is going to be massively in trouble. Just a matter of restricting the play, and then it gets a bit silly. He thinks he's, and now he's all but lost. He's got to check here. The rook comes up. The bishop defends. We take whatever he gives, and eventually he loses that way. In game 5, try to explain moves like h6. What's the purpose? It's wasting time in the opening, and it enables White to just build up. And he made a blunder here. He played Queen b6 and resigned. He's getting tired, I think. Game 6, he plays this silly h3 opening. So material got traded, but of course Black is ahead on material, and also he's got these bad habits of not developing his pieces in the opening and playing pieces on the back rank. That's his thing. So I mean, f4 was there to restrict his bishop from coming out, and it's also in some lines he's threading f3. We just gain tempo attacking his pieces, then he makes weak moves. We pile up on d3, and he makes a rush move and loses the game after this. Actually, it gets quite bad for him because it just takes like that, and it's game over. Game 7, it seems to change opening every time, thinking possibly that the problem is the opening. The problem is not the openings he chooses. The problem is the moves that he makes in the opening that are not good, not following the basic principles. So opposite color, opposite castling, and he sets up a short castling on the long side, and just build up. Here he makes a silly move, Queen d4. He blocks the attack on the rook here that was going to be lost, and he gets checkmated like that. That's simple. When you play a game of chess, just check the tactics. What is the opponent threatening? Game 8, he plays this h3, which basically gives the move to Black. Development. Here he gets into a tangle. It's worth noticing again that he's not fully developed or castle by the time I am fully castle and with my pieces out. Anyway, here I just take, no text, and then I set up a problem for him. His knight is trapped after g6 here. So he doesn't have a lot of ways to meet the threat. And then just g6, he takes. We play sensible moves. Everything he gives, we take. And it's a very simple endgame. Just a demolition. Finished. The 9th game. Once again, it changes the opening. So he plays a lot of openings, but he's not particularly good at any of them. And now we just go for the weak squares. We start going on he He's allowed the pawn to be double on f6, and now the knights are just attacking. We're threatening there. He plays there, overlooks the check, and we take. He takes there, check. G3, take here, and then pile up on the thing. Give him a check, swap, and here we go. What has he got? Nothing. And he resigned. And the final game that we played, he keeps changing the opening, making silly moves. So instead of playing knight f3, he actually goes here, and there. It's not logical. We occupy the center. We castle our king, and he goes for the back rank again. He's very good at that, putting pieces on the back rank. His coach should tell him to stop doing that. So what do? We just develop normally. And eventually the tactics are going to backfire on him. Here we go, knight f3 check, take here, rook takes, bishop is on, and then we start marching the pawn. And he's put his bishop on h3, which is a very, very weak square here. It's a very passive square. And then we just march the thing on. Try to get in with the... So now here the situation is kind of clear, because he's going to lose this pawn on g3, and then if we trade rooks, if I give up d4, one pair of rooks gets swapped. He's still facing those two pawns here on the king side, and he can't stop them. So take, and then off we go. And as you could predict, he's going to find a way to self-destruct, just like that, and that's game over. So 10 games, exposing some very, very, very bad habits of not playing sound openings, playing silly moves in the opening, about falling behind in development, about not castling, about overlooking simple tactics, and also about not being able to play an endgame. That's too much.